Hello, you're watching Northern Soul, and today we're going to be doing, I'm going to be demonstrating a taping, which I think is the ultimate taping edition of plantar fasciitis, as well as if you have any sort of calf issues. So whether you have your tender trigger points or calf strain, that sort of thing. What I'm going to be doing that's different than what I've seen so far with other taping that has been on YouTube or whatever, is I'm going to treat the whole thing as a system. So I think what people are doing is treating the symptom and not the origin of the problem or the origin of the disease. Hence why people are plagued with ongoing issues with the bottom of their heel or calf issues as well. So I'm more interested in getting rid of the problem entirely, not the symptoms. Symptoms are great to get rid of if you want to sell lots of tape. But I don't work for a tape manufacturer, so for me it's like, how do I heal myself? And I'll explain what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and the whole system. These are longer videos because I explain extra stuff and I put other tips into it. So if you're serious about fixing your issue, about taping, you'll want to watch this. And if you need to pause it and get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Some of you might be on the bog right now watching this. That's great. Otherwise, let's get to it. So this is a super supreme ultimate 4,000 taping of plantar fasciitis calf strain injury or whatever as a system, because it's the whole heel thing is it's all one unit. So if we're looking at the heel here, so you got connective tissue on the bottom. It interconnects with the heel, the Achilles or the calcaneal tendon, which attaches into it's a shared component with your calf muscles. So that's you're talking your gastrocnemius, which is superficial. That's the one you see on the outside. So I'm not a bodybuilder, but there we go. Beauty. Look at that. Okay. And deep inside, which you can access at certain points, like in here, and in the side it'll stick out a little bit, it is soleus. And soleus is the muscle that's used for standing. So we're talking postural or walking, any sort of lightweight, slower stuff. And gastrocnemius is the muscle that we see in the calf that does all the heavy lifting. So if you're doing the running and jumping and the powerful stuff, that's where that comes in. But they share the tendon here, which is super strong. So strong, in fact, that for some people, instead of tearing the tendon, it'll actually rip off the bone, the attachment point. It's so strong. So just to give you an idea, and that's why this can become, you can get tendonitis of the tendon or Achilles tendonitis as well. But understand that it is connected under the heel and then under the foot here all together. And that's when you can have really tight calf muscles strained. So runners and stuff like that, people that do these activities that really use the calf muscle a lot, or prolonged standing or high heels and stuff like that, they can have this sort of shortened muscle. The shortens, stays in a shortened state, so they're tight. Trigger points will hold it together like that, and then it'll pull on this tendon, which will then pull on the fascia underneath, and can actually be one of the problems with flat foot. One of the causes, because it'll actually pull and steal the bowing effect here. So the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line. That's a curve. And so it'll pull on it to try to get length back. So this will become straighter because it's trying to give, the calf is stealing it. This tendon stealing all that, the fascia there. So that becomes a flat foot. So we're going to be, this taping here is maybe helpful for a few problems, not just one. So give it a go. I find this one is, if you're not quite sure what you have, or maybe you have a combination, then give this one a try. I think you'll really like it, and you can keep it on as long as it feels good. So yeah, you can have it up to 7 days. If you're a runner, really help with marathons and swimmers as well. And those of you just have generally have spasms and stuff as well. If you get cramping in the bottom of the foot or in the calf, this will help with that as well. I'll give you some tips afterwards on how to get even more out of, like with stretching and heat and stuff like that, just to take it to the next level, because you can use heat and stretch with the tape, which is super cool. So let's get started. We're going to use, I think what we're going to do is we're going to use high contrast. We'll use some orange and red. Here I'm going to get my trusty scissors. I don't think I cleaned them, so they'll be a bit gummed up, but whatever. Such is life. Let's get started. Okay. So I'm going to use, this is going to be the ultimate edition. So I'm going to be doing heavy duty taping. So this is going to be a lot of eye tapes for full value. So it's going to be like, this is a 2-inch wide strip, and we're going to be using 2-inch wide strips, not cutting it into 1-inch strips or doing a lot of this wide taping stuff. So what I want to do is measure from the bottom, and then that's when we're going to get to the top. Oh, Drake, there you go. Anyways, so this is going to be stretched to the heel, and then what we're going to do is we're going to stretch the calf muscle, and then we're going to use no stretch up into the top. So it's going to follow the Achilles and then open to the calf muscle. I'm going to back that off slightly. So I just measured. So from the ball of the foot, there's going to be substantial stretch to the heel. Then from here, there's going to be no stretch on the tape, but we're going to stretch the muscle across like that. So I'm going to back off slightly so I don't have too much. I don't want to waste tape. Better to have too much than too little, because you can't add tape afterwards. You can always trim it. Although if you're doing this by yourself, which I will be demonstrating here, then things get a bit harder, because trying to cut while it's on you and not trying to touch the adhesive is a problem. So we're going to need 2 of these strips. So just for fun, I guess we're going to have one red and one orange so you can see the contrast. So I'm just going to use the one that I've already cut and measure it against it, just like that, and cut a second strip. This one uses a lot more tape, but like I said, you can have it up to 7 days as long as it doesn't get itchy and stuff. Or if it starts to feel worse, you're going to want to remove it. So let's round off the ends, just like that. You can use whatever color combination you wish. You can have it all the same color, or you can, you know, dress up so it's like part of your outfit or matches your shorts or pants or whatever. Bathing suit, favorite team. Those of you that are new to taping, I do have a taping 101 video on the Northern Soul channel, as well as a tape comparison against some of the top brands. So you can see if you're new to taping or you're not sure about what brands to pick, because it does make a difference. You can go check that out. So we're just going to push this aside now. So we're going to use red here. So what I want to do is, initially, I'm going to go on the ball of the foot. So I'm just going to rip off on the end here. I hope. Yes, you can see this. All right, good. So we're going to go on one side, come across, and then go the opposite way. I can already feel my foot cramping up a little bit. There we go. So no stretch for the anchoring aspect of it. So I just anchored it on the ball of my foot, no stretch. Now what I want to do is about 70% stretch to the heel. So I'm just going to grab that about where the heel would be, give it a good pull. I usually do about 100% and then back off to about 70, and then aim towards the heel like that. And then I'm just going to rub that in. Heel, and then the heel's going to rest at 0% stretch. So there we go, rub that in. Now from the heel, I'm going to pull the rest of the tape. And what I want to do now, since the surface area, it's going to be surface area based, the taping, like all taping, it doesn't go really deep. So we're not going to affect soleus. So what we want to do is affect gastrocs, which is the superficial muscle of the calf. So I need to have knee straight, and then what I do is I have my foot and heel flat on the ground. I'm going to lean forward and have my knee straight. That's the best way to do it. So if you have your knee bent and you're moving forward from the ankle, that's when you can stretch out soleus. But you need your knee straight, because that one crosses the joint for this one. So it's kind of tricky because you're doing it by yourself. But what I'm going to do is knee straight forward, and I'm just going to go across the tendon right at the bottom, right there, rub that in, and then since I have that guidance now, I can straighten the knee out. So push the heel down like that, straighten the knee out, and I'm going to aim in the opposite direction of the foot.
right there across the head of the gastroc. So you can kind of follow it. Oh, I can feel the stretch right there. So this is no stretch, by the way. Absolutely none. So just follow it along. No stretch. Knee straight. Just like that. Okay. Got that. A bit of a pain to do, but if you've got to do it right and you're doing it by yourself, I'm not doing it on a model, so here we go. That's one. Now we're going to do the other one right here. So it's going to be opposite way. So I'm going to go on this side like that, and then I'm going to move in the opposite direction. So there's almost like a cross. This will be straight on top of each other, but we always want to end the adhesive on skin because it doesn't like to adhere to itself. So tape on tape action, not as good as it might sound on paper. So 0% stretch for the anchor at the ball of the foot, like so. Oops, there we go. 75% stretch to the heel. So I'll pull 100, back off to 75, aim towards the heel, press down, and I can rub that tape in like so. Now, I'm going to stretch out that heel, so I'm going to push my toes in into the ground like that. No stretch. Just on the Achilles like that. Push that in. Rub it in. So we got that anchored. Now, no stretch, and then we're going to aim towards this head, so the lateral head in this case of the gastrocs. But I need my knee straight. So you're going to have that heel down, push down. So you have that sort of toes to the nose sort of aspect. And straight knee, no stretch, and then right towards the head of the gastrocs right there. And I'm just going to gently pat that down, rub it in. I must have put a bit too much stretch on one end because it's a little bit lopsided, but I think you'll get the idea. So rub that in. Usually if you're not furry like I am, it'll stick on a little better, but I'm not too bad, so it'll stick anyway, especially if you have a better tape that'll stick. Doesn't really care too much about that, then you're good. Okay, so that's that aspect of it. Now, if you have that pain from plantar fasciitis, you should have a pain that's kind of similar, what they call the fat of the heel, the fat pad of the heel. So right in here, it might be painful. So what we're going to do is we're going to address that. So there's two problems you could potentially have here. This is offloading the muscle here and providing circulation down on the and underneath the foot. So this is almost like a combination of many things, many tapings together in order to use taping as a system. You could, if you had a flat foot and you wanted to support it, tape first. Check out my video on flat foot and do the taping that crosses underneath here, comes across and pulls, so you have that tape support. You do that first, then do this taping for the calf to offload the calf. You can have like a super combination. And if you're interested, put it down in the comments. And if people are really interested in that and they're commenting on it and they want to see it, then I'll do like a super tape where I'll just tape the whole goddamn leg for every problem that you might have. Because you can definitely do combinations. So we're going to tape here for the fat pad. So I'm going to use a blue. We're going to continue with contrast. Just go underneath here like that. So we're going to have an anchor there and then an anchor on the opposite side. Just like that. It's going to be, because it's cross fiber, usually do quite a bit of stretch. So we're talking 75, so considerable stretch. So I'm going to back off slightly, like that. Round off the end. Like that. Now, okay, so the pain's in this area, just in front of the heel or kind of like ahead of the heel. We're gonna split in the middle and then we'll split those up like that, and we're gonna do considerable stretch with no stretch on the ends. So you'll see right under the fat pad right there, right under the heel is where I'm gonna be doing it. Now for ease of use, I'm gonna be actually going under if you're doing it yourself, kind of like this. So I'm going by eyeball, I'm gonna stretch it out back off to 75, apply, and then on the ends there'll be 0 stretch. Then I can just put it on like that, push that one on like that, and then rub that in. Now if you find you need additional support and you don't have the taping for flat foot included, then you might add an additional tape right beside it for additional support, but not necessary. I think one will be good enough because you're going to have so much tape going on right now. You're going to be, it's almost like going to be a tape sock at this point. So that's good. So you can see underneath with the contrast, that's kind of what that looks like right now. Now there's also the problem with, you might have tender points on the gastrocs, the head of the gastrocs. So you could like start pushing along the head, just follow along and see if there's any tender points. If it's like, ah, yeah, that's tender, or it feels really firm, like there's a rope under there instead of a muscle, then you might want to put a cross fiber taping, which I am going to show you. And same with this side and the medial head as well. You just follow it along, and if you feel a tender point, then you know, yeah, I got a trigger point there. It's a good idea to put tape across. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to measure across about that much, and there's going to be considerable stretch. So I need to cut that. Where's my scissors? There we go. Round off the ends. Taping can end up being really elaborate when you can combine it with a lot of stuff. I don't see a lot of people combining issues like treating taping for a system of movement. So we're taping movement, we're taping a system, not necessarily an individual problem. Because usually it's a combination of things that made that happen, or if it's sticking around and it's plaguing you, it's probably like something else is like part of the problem as well. So let's just say I have a tender points right about here, which is usually where they are. I'm just going to tape 100% stretch back off to 75 and right across where I think that the tender points are. So let's say it's there. I don't have that right now, but let's say I did. And then across there to the other head. And then what I'm going to do is just 0% stretch on the ends. Kind of fluff that a little bit, but there we go. Rub that in on the head. Right across, and that there with the stretch will help increase circulation to the area. So we got circulation increase along the bottom, circulation increase to speed up the healing response to the issue that's causing the problem here, the pain in that area. And then over here we're offloading. That's what these long ones are for. That's why we did the stretch of the gastrocs, in order to offload that muscle. And then we have circulation increase at the point where it's the worst case scenario. So that's what that looks like. So that is a whole system right there. Plantar fasciitis, and what a common problem is the gastrocs is really tight, or the muscles of the calf are actually really tight, stealing the length of the transverse arch here, or the longitudinal arch of the foot, and straightening the foot, causing flat foot, or agitating this area where you get pain in this area, or tendonitis. There's any number of things that can happen that because of tight calf muscles, and then all this happens. But that's why that's happening. So the other thing to do is like stretches. I already mentioned how to stretch gastrocs and soleus separately, so you want to do those. The sweet spot for stretches timing wise is 2 minutes. So if you can hold a stretch for 2 minutes and do that 3 times each, so you take do a stretch for 2 minutes, take a 5-second break, and then re-stretch. The second stretch and the third stretch are the most important, because that's when the first stretch kind of gets the nervous system and the muscles ready for release. The second one is when you're actually building upon the first one release, and then the third one you'll get the maximum length that you're going to get for that session. Also, if you want to be a 10 out of 10 sort of a student on this sort of thing, we get the quickest recovery possible. You'll want to apply heat to the gastrocs as well, so that the calf muscles, 10 to 30 minutes prior. Do the stretches, so 3 stretches for 2 minutes each,
And you can also do the stretch the gastrocs, and then you can stretch soleus after, or you can go in between, whatever combination you want, and then put heat on afterwards as well, 10 to 30 minutes. That is maximizing the healing response. So you can also help with offloading the muscles, nervous system. Everything becomes more malleable for the stretch. And then also when you add heat onto the end of it, you almost get some longevity from what you achieved with the stretching, and the tape will help maintain it as well. And plus you can apply the heat on top. Now, if you do an activity and you strain something, you want to use ice. But afterwards, like we're talking when it's not acute and you're at rest or so, you want to use heat any of that time. Open up the blood vessels, get the nutrients, oxygen in there, get rid of the waste product as well. So you're going to have metabolites and stuff that need to get out of there. And heat will help open up the blood vessels in order for you to efficiently do that. Deep breathing, also important as well. Oxygenate the blood that is making its way through that constricted area. So if it's really tight muscle, it's constricting all the capillaries and that. You're not going to get as much nutrients and oxygen as necessary, and sometimes that can cause cramping in that on its own. The other thing to watch out for is mineral deficiency. So you're talking calcium and magnesium on that end. You can talk to a nutrition on that. That's outside of my scope. But you could do Epsom salt bath as well. That part of Epsom salt is magnesium. That's part of the chemical compound of it. And you can absorb some of that from a bath. And it's not in any sort of amount that you'll OD on it. That's fantastic. So we're talking, have a hot bath, 2 cups, one to 2 cups. You can just read the directions on whatever the bag says on Epsom salts. And that will mimic a hot mineral or hot spring sort of thing. And you'll get the magnesium absorbed, as well as the salt will help pull toxins out of the body, make your skin nice and beautiful and kissable, if anybody's interested in that sort of thing. And that's it. Hopefully that was straightforward. Any questions or any other combo taping or single taping that you wish to see, put it down in the comments. Right now I'm pretty much good at answering your comments, as well as I might put up another video with something specific that you'd like to see, or if you have any questions. Depending on if I have time, I can answer that stuff. So good luck to you guys. Hopefully that helps, and keep moving. And I'll see you on the next one. Northern Soul. Thanks.